So, what is education?
Cause the world is not a box. There's no lid, no doors, no cardboard flaps or locks. And everything in nature, from the clouds to the rocks, is a piece of the puzzle of the purpose of man. It's a piece of the piece of Islam.
Someone who understands what a great education is able to get it, and someone who doesn't understand it will do all kinds of things that aren't a great education. A great education is when you know what your mission is in life, and you know what you're supposed to be doing right now to prepare yourself for that mission.
So, what is education? In Arabic we say tarbiyah wa ta'lim. Tarbiyah comes from the same root word that Lord comes from, Rabb. Allah is the murabbi, the one that nurtures, the one that causes to grow. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. To nurture a student, to watch them grow intellectually, spiritually, morally. Ta'lim is from a word which means to make an impression. Allama means to impress on something. Alama is mark. The cuneiform writing was by pushing into the clay and creating an impression. And that is a mark. So he makes his mark on society. We use the same term in English. That is what ta'lim is about. It is about impressions that impact students, that have an effect, that take an effect. If we look at what the root word in Latin of educare, educate, educare, which means to lead out of. In other words, to draw out what is already in there. The idea that you cannot really teach anybody anything, you can only make them remember what they already know. And that's why the Quran is called a dhikr, because it is a reminder of what we already know. Alastu bi rabbikum, bala shahidna. Am I not your Lord? We all know that. We need to be reminded of that truth. Education is about remembering, making.
What I contend and assert is that babies come into the world extraordinarily curious, eager to learn, extraordinarily resourceful and competent at learning, that they are, in the most literal sense of the word, scientists. They do exactly what scientists do. They use the scientific method in making sense of the world around them. And then they get to a certain age, which may be as young as 3, but in any case the age of school, and this process is turned off by adults who think they are now going to direct and control the learning of these children. They treat them like empty receptacles into which they are going to pour whatever learning they think they ought to have. The child's curiosity, the child's independence, the child's confidence in herself as a learner, as an explorer, is undermined, eroded, and destroyed. School is a place where children learn to be stupid. And the process that makes them stupid, at least stupid in school, is other people trying to control their learning. Let school be a place in which children can continue to explore the world in the ways that are most interesting and productive for them. Let us give them help if they ask for it, answer their questions, put within their reach, make accessible to them as much of the world and its materials and resources and skills and people as we can. But let's not try to decide how they are going to use that material. Let the child make the curriculum.
When you look at the boredom that exists in modern American education, you look at the boredom of the students, you look at the faces that they carry to school, you look at them, and I've been in classes, I've taught, I've lectured all over the United States, in universities all over the United States. You look at their faces, and you look at the boredom. One, because they're wondering, why am I studying this? What is this for? What's the purpose of this? The smart ones check out early on, like Bill Gates, who never got a degree from Harvard because he dropped out. That's what happens to the smart ones. Steve Jobs dropped out. All all of these billionaires, they dropped out because they learned early on, I want to make money, and this is not the way to make money. So if you go to college to earn a livelihood, you're wasting your time.
But the model we have is this. I believe we have a system of education that is modeled on the interests of industrialism and in the image of it. I'll give you a couple of examples. Schools are still pretty much organized on factory lines, ringing bells, separate facilities, specialized into separate subjects. We still educate children by batches. We put them through the system by age group. Why do we do that? Why is there this assumption that the most important thing kids have in common is how old they are? It's like the most important thing about them is their date of manufacture. You know what I mean? Well, I know kids who are much better than other kids at the same age in different disciplines, or at different times of the day, or better in smaller groups than in large groups, or sometimes they want to be on their own. If you're interested in the model of learning, you don't start from this production line mentality. It's essentially about conformity, and increasingly it's about that as you look at the growth of standardized testing and standardized curricula. And it's about standardization. I believe we've got to go in the exact opposite direction. That's what I mean about changing the paradigm.
School was intended on this continent to be, as it had been in northern Germany, a fifth column into the burgeoning libertarian condition where disenfranchised and oppressed groups were clamoring for some kind of seat at the bargaining table. School was to be a surgical incision into which the class-based management theories of England were to be inserted to interdict the liberty traditions. England's multi-layered social class is simply a modern-day representation of Julius Caesar's advice that when you're overwhelmed by the enemy, you divide them and conquer them that way by setting them against each other. The method was to be by infiltration into the minds of children, out of sight of their parents. The well-read here won't be shocked. Theorists from Plato to Rousseau to Frederick of Prussia knew and taught explicitly that if children could be kept childish beyond its term in nature, if they could be cloistered in a society of children without any real responsibility except obedience, if their inner lives could be attenuated by removing the insights of history, literature, philosophy, economics, religion, if the imminence of death and the certainty of pain and loss can be removed from daily consciousness, if the profound reflections on one's own death could be replaced with the trivializing emotions of greed, envy, jealousy, and fear, young people would grow older, but they would never grow up, and a great enduring problem of supervision would be solved. For who can argue against the truth that childish and childlike people are far easier to manage than critically trained, self-reliant ones?
En effet, le vrai problème de l'éducation, c'est quel est le but de l'éducation? Est-ce qu'il nous faut former des enfants et des individus qui soient simplement capables d'apprendre ce qui est déjà connu, de répéter ce qui est déjà acquis par les générations antérieures, ou bien est-ce qu'il s'agit de former des esprits novateurs, des esprits créateurs, qui soient capables d'inventer dès le niveau de l'école et ensuite pendant toute leur vie
In the end, I would just ask you all to read this book if you want to understand what has happened in this country, why our students are increasingly incapable of thinking, why they can't reason, why we have some of the worst test scores all over the world, even though I'm totally against the testing, but even by the metrics of their own system, their system is failing. So Weapons of Mass Instruction, a school teacher's journey through the dark world of compulsory schooling. I don't know how many of you know about the Tuskegee syphilis study, which was where physicians in this country injected syphilis into African Americans to see the effects over time. It's a well-known study. But only recently we found out not only that were they doing it in Mississippi, they were also doing it in Guatemala. In 1947, they were injecting people down in Central America with syphilis, gonorrhea, and other diseases to see the effects of these diseases on these people. These were scientists that were produced by the best colleges in the United States of America. The same colleges that produced the people that robbed all of you who own homes in this country, robbed you of your equity. The same people. These are the products of American universities. And until we deal with the fact that without teaching people meaning, without teaching people purpose, you create monsters. You create the disease known as civilization. This is what happens when you divorce education from the sacred. People talk about sacrificing, and they don't even know the root meaning of that, sacrus facere, to make sacred. When you sacrifice in your life, you are doing it for the sacred. We can't get out of these meanings because they're embedded in the very language that we speak. And that's what's lacking. And until we reestablish the true roots of learning and knowledge and why we're learning and what is the purpose of knowledge, we will see it get worse and worse and worse. Muslims have an incredible opportunity right now because we are a people that still, in spite of ourselves, because of our Prophet ﷺ, because when he said, one of the signs of the end of time is that people will study for other than the sake of God. They will go to school for other than the sake of God, because every civilization, Hindu, Buddhist, Confucianist, Christian, Jewish, and Muslim, all of them understood that learning was to make a better human being. Learning was not to make more money. It was to make a better human being. Not for learning's sake, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
जदीद तालीम व तहज़ीब के मिजाज और इसकी तबीयत पर गौर करने से ये हकीकत वाज़ेह हो जाती है कि वो इस्लाम के मिजाज और इसकी तबीयत के बिल्कुल मुनाफी है। अगर हम बाहिम इसको बिजिनसी ही लेकर अपनी नौखेज़ नस्लों में फैलाएंगे तो उनको हमेशा के लिए हाथ से खो देंगे। आप इनको वो फ़लसफ़ा पढ़ाते हैं जो कायनात के मसले को खुदा के बगैर हल करना चाहता है। आप इनको वो साइंस पढ़ाते हैं जो माकूलात से मुनहरिफ और महसूसात का गुलाम है। आपको तारीख़, सियासियात, मुआशियात, कानून और वो तमाम उलूम इमरानिया की वो तालीम देते हैं जो अपने उसूल से लेकर फ़रोग़ तक और नज़रियात से लेकर अमलियात तक इस्लाम के नज़रियात और उसूल इमरान से मुख्तलिफ है। आप इनकी तरबियत तमाम तर ऐसी तहज़ीब के ज़ेर असर करते हैं जो अपनी रूह और अपने मकासद और मनाहिज के एतबार से कुल्लियतन इस्लामी तहज़ीब के ज़द वाक़ हुई है। इसके बाद किस बिना पर आप ये उम्मीद रखते हैं कि उनकी नज़र इस्लामी नज़र होगी, उनकी सीरत इस्लामी सीरत होगी, उनकी ज़िंदगी इस्लामी ज़िंदगी होगी? Alternative education is a blanket term encompassing many different pedagogical approaches, differing from that of the mainstream pedagogy employed in a culture. Alternative pedagogical approaches may include different structures, as in the open classroom, different teacher-student relationship, as in the Quaker and free schools, or differing curricula and teaching methods, as in the Waldorf and Montessori schools. Synonyms for alternative in this context include non-traditional, non-conventional, and non-standardized. Alternative educators use terms such as authentic, holistic, and progressive. Alternative education grew up in response to the establishment of standardized and compulsory education over the last 2 to 3 centuries. Educators including Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Henry David Thoreau, founders of progressive education John Dewey and Francis Parker, and educational pioneers such as Friedrich Froebel, Maria Montessori, and Rudolf Steiner, believed that education should cultivate the developing child on many levels, not only intellectually, but also morally and spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and physically. After the World War II, an alternative Reggio Emilia approach to early childhood education was developed in Italy, introduced by Loris Malacuzzi. Thinkers and scholars have been saying these things for many years, but unfortunately, there is not one such Islamic educational institute with alternative education. There have been many talks about it, books have been written, but no such system is there. Fukkul Aani is an attempt at doing something about it. I am Fatma Zahra from Pakistan, and I thought enough has been said and written on the education system. I should rather do something that has never been done before. On February 8, 2014, I invited my peer group and proposed the idea. People who were interested got together, and that's how it all started. Fukkul Aani believes in alternative education and aims to provide resources to Muslim parents and educators. First, the idea was that we would make educational videos and exchange them with each other. But then I thought the whole Muslim Ummah could get benefit from them if I put all of what I had in mind on a website. On website, we pick one topic and give 25 different ways to learn it. Books and animations on website have been curated by us, and the rest is our own production. Here is a sneak peek. Though we want to create videos for all subjects including sciences, but we have started from Quran and covered 17 stories so far. Each story has 25 different resources that would help to inculcate the message into the child's brain, while respecting the person's individuality, personal capacities, and learning style. For example, story of an elephant, Ashab al-Fil. If she or he is a book reader, we have a book related to that topic. If child is visual learner, website provides animations related to that topic. For tactile learners or kinesthetic learners, we have so many activities. Why there should be only video or book to gain knowledge? How about using a different media altogether? We have different activities for them, including food art, towel art, origami, Play-Doh, etc., etc. All of these activities not only give child lifelong lesson, but also helps in the cognitive development of child. Website is all about letting the child make the curriculum. Although kids might use it, but the main audience is teachers and educators. They can learn different art activities from the video tutorials and engage with kids through that. This is just the beginning. We plan to do so much more. To take it further, we need your support. People donate to flood and earthquake victims because they understand the gravity of the situation. If we want to do something about the education system, we have to take the current education system just like an emergency. Because every single day, in the words of Hamza Yousuf, our kids are being slaughtered like lambs in the hands of education system. I have tried for grant application, but all those programs that support such projects demand that there should be no religious content. So the point is, I've been doing this project for many years without any kind of support, and I will continue doing it. But it would be a lot easier with Ummah's support. I have taken the first step. Looking forward to see you join me on this path. Thanks for watching. Jazakallah.
'Cause the world is not a box. There's no lid, no doors, no cardboard flaps or locks. And everything in nature, from the clouds to the rocks, is a piece of the puzzle of the purpose of man. It's a piece of the piece of Islam.